Alright, radio check, you guys should be able to hear me, and we have got the coverage starting very, very shortly. In fact, we have 30 minutes till lights out. All of the drivers have made their way to the starting grid, and we have got a lot of action looking forward, well, waiting for us in store today. Guan Yu Zhou will be starting from the pit lane by the looks of it, but everyone else is on the grid as usual. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you do enjoy today's coverage. We have got, well, the top three, the same top three that, well, not the same order of the top three, but the top three are the same drivers from the Spanish Grand Prix: Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and George Russell. So we should have a great race in store for us. Yeah, quite a lot to talk about. Strategy is going to be a very big part of today's race, and also the wind. All weekend long, we haven't had that much wind. Just now, we've had 40 km/h gusts going into turn 3. So wind is going to play a massive role in today's race, a lot more significant than it was yesterday in quali and in the sprint race. So yeah, well, let's wait and see what happens. But yeah, I'll keep that in mind, and I will keep you updated on the weather forecast. It does seem to be sunny, and it seems to be going that way and continuing on that way. But yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, Spectre, MCG. Nice to see everyone is here. Okay. Who do you think is going to win? I am actually, well, it could be Max Verstappen, but I also would like to give Lando Norris a good shot. But I think what could happen is, going into turn number 1, turn number 2, turn number 3, we could have a couple of overtakes happening, especially with the slipstream being so potent around here. Of course, if we remember back to last weekend in the Spanish Grand Prix, there was quite a lot of, well, going into turn number 1, there's a very long run from the starting grid into turn number 1. That means slipstream plays a critical role. We saw George Russell manage to pull off a double overtake. He overtook both Norris and Verstappen going into turn number 1. So, a very similar thing could happen here. We saw yesterday in the sprint race Charles Leclerc gaining 3 positions just on the opening lap. So overtaking is indeed possible. You've just got to get your car in the right place at the right time, and the overtakes will present themselves. All right. Of course, Max will win. He suffered from an elbow injury. I'm sure Max's elbow has got better over the past couple of days as time has passed. All right. Yeah, we've got 700 people already tuned in. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. It really does help out the channel, especially just boosting the channel just before we go, just before the start of the race. I'm going to run through the strategy choices for today. It is actually quite a complex strategy choice that we're going to have for today's race. It's guaranteed to be a 2-stop race, especially with track temperatures up at 47 degrees. The wear is going to be excessively high, and given the fact that we're going to have gusting winds, the cars will probably be sliding around a lot more than they normally do, hence even more tyre degradation. So yeah, we should be getting at least a 2-stop race, maybe a 3-stop, depending on if there are safety cars, if there is not safety cars. But the other thing that contributes to the strategy being so tricky today is the fact that there have been sprint races and sprint qualifyings, and the drivers have used up sets of tyres that they typically wouldn't have used up in a race weekend, and hence they have less fresh sets of tyres for today's Grand Prix. So we'll go through the strategy. The quickest strategy, according to Pirelli, is start the race on the hards, go on to the mediums, and then end the race on the hards. However, I'm a little bit skeptical about what Pirelli have said, because of the fact that they've said that your medium tyre stint will be the longest stint out of all of them. Wait, never mind. Oh, okay, it looks like they've updated it and they fixed it. Okay, so yeah, when I checked it earlier, it said hard, medium, hard, but they've changed that around. It's medium, hard, medium. So yeah, the quickest strategy, apologies for the mistake there. Quickest strategy, start on the mediums, go on to the hards, and then go on to the medium tyres. But the issue is not everyone has 2 fresh sets of mediums. If you look at Max Verstappen's tyre choice, he has only got 1 fresh set of mediums, and if you look in the FP1 practice session, Max Verstappen used a set of medium tyres in that race, and everyone used a set of medium tyres for the sprint race as well. So that's why they all have one less set of medium. So Max Verstappen simply cannot go for the fastest strategy available because he's already used a set of medium tyres in, I think it was free practice 1, which means that he's going to have to go for a hard, medium, hard. So that could, throw a spanner in the works, potentially help out Lando Norris to try and win this race. Norris, of course, he does have 2 fresh sets of mediums, and he does have 1 slightly used hard tyre as well. So yeah, it's going to be tricky for him to manage that with a slightly used hard tyre, but I'm sure he would be able to do that. The drivers behind him, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, all of them have 2 medium tyres and 1 hard tyre, and all of them are fresh, so it should be fine. Yeah, slightly used tyres are a little faster off the line, but wear sooner. That is also true. I'm sure Norris, he won't be starting the race on the hard tyres. That would be too much of a disadvantage. I'm sure everyone will be starting on the mediums. By the looks of it, every single driver from top to bottom of the grid has at least 1 fresh set of mediums. So I think that will be the starting tyre of choice. They saw it in the sprint race. It can definitely do at least 24 laps. So yeah, the teams would probably choose that as their optimal starting tyre. The soft tyres seem to be a little too fragile for a race distance. We saw even in qualifying, the drivers pushing for 1 full lap, going absolute maximum attack, and they suffered from overheating. And especially with track temperatures up at 47 degrees, I think the medium tyres will be the optimal choice for the race. Does Charles have 2 medium tyres? Let me have a quick look. Indeed he does. Charles does, Piastri does, Hamilton does, Sainz, Russell, Norris. All of those drivers have 2 sets of mediums. Sergio Perez only has 1 set, but I think Red Bull have opted for the medium hard strategy, and that's why both their drivers, Perez and Verstappen, only have 1 set of mediums. Hulkenberg, Ocon, Ricciardo, Gasly, they both have all four of those drivers have 2 sets of mediums. So it seems to be looking good. And we are now 25 minutes away from 22 minutes away from getting underway for the race. How strong is the undercut on this circuit? Well, given the fact that the tyre wear is high, the higher tyre wear that you have at a circuit, the more likely the undercut is to work out. So, yeah. Given that we're going to have extremely high tyre wear around here, and we've got the softest tyres in Pirelli's range, which just increases the amount of tyre wear that we do have, the undercut should be very, very strong at this circuit. But you wouldn't want to discount the overcut, because yes, you'd be slightly quicker with an undercut, but then 10 laps down the line, when you've got fresher tyres and when you've got old tyres and someone else has got fresher tyres behind you, that is still kind of a long-term undercut, and you end up having to lose out time there and potentially get overtaken. And especially with the fact that we have 3 DRS zones at this circuit, overtaking is very, very likely. And, well, we'll have to wait and see how many overtakes we do get. But the clouds out in Styria are nice and, they're not too dark, so it should be fine. We should have a clear race. Rookie Pilot, thank you for the $2 donation. My prediction, everyone but Logan crashes. Now, well, I mean, if it was opposite day, then your prediction might be correct, but I have a feeling that Logan Sargent is not going to be the only driver that stays on the circuit if everyone else crashes. How likely will someone cause a safety car? MCG, brilliant questions here. Thank you very, very much. The chance of a safety car in the previous 7 years have been 50% chance of a safety car, 30% chance of a virtual safety car, and 0% chance of a red flag. Given the fact that there is so much runoff, I wouldn't expect there to be that much chance of a red flag. But yes, virtual safety cars and full safety cars, 50% chance and 30% chance for safety cars and virtual safety cars respectively. What are the temps? 46.2 degrees track temperature. Air temperature is 29.1 degrees Celsius. All right. 71 laps of racing around the Red Bull Ring, where we've got in fact, in Formula 1 history, we had the closest qualifying ever recorded. Given qualifying hasn't always been Q1, Q2, Q3. Sometimes it was, you have 15 minutes of qualifying, you can just set the fastest lap possible. So in this given format, in Q1, Q2, Q3, in that sort of format, we've had the closest possible, not the closest possible, but the closest ever recorded qualifying in history. In Q1, the gap between first and 20th position was less than 0.8 seconds. That shows you how close the pack was. Of course, there is a little bit more reading that you do have to do into that because the drivers at the top of the pack, the top 4 fastest teams, they set all of their laps on used tyres, whereas the teams at the bottom, they set all of their laps on fresh tyres. So, you've got to take that into account, but nevertheless, it is pointing towards the right direction. Formula One is getting closer and closer, and that is, something that we can all cheer for and be happy about. Okay, yeah, we've got 2,000 people already on the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And let's get underway for this Grand Prix then. What else have we got to talk about? Well, we might as well talk about what is going to happen off the line. Going into turn number 1, the starting grid is actually on an incline. It's on a slight incline, slight uphill. Now that means that puts ever more importance on the clutch settings and getting those clutch settings really dialed in to the most optimal possible for that incline. You've got to take into account the incline, otherwise, you're gonna have a bit too much wheel spin, or you're not gonna have enough wheel spin, and you're gonna go a little bit too slowly off the line. So the teams will have prepared for that, because going into the pit lane is also on a slight bit of an incline, so they dial in their clutch settings in the practice session and in the pit lane to make sure everything is correct. And apart from that, what else have they got to do? Well, looking into turn number 1, if you can get a good start, there is a definite chance that you're going to pull off at least 1, maybe 2 overtakes in just going into the first corner alone. You do have to be careful though. If you are going around the outside, the curb is rather vicious, and you kind of what happens is, if you go too wide over the curb, like if you go dip your left wheels on the other side of the curb, the curb is so high up that the floor will actually mount. The floor will mount the curb, and you'll lose a lot of grip, and your acceleration coming out the first corner will be very, very bad. So yeah, I think Charles Leclerc was trying to go around the outside of Sergio Perez on the opening lap of the sprint race at turn number 1, but unfortunately, he just decided to back out of it, because going into turn number 1, if you do get hit ever so slightly, you go onto the curb and you lose massive amounts of time. I'm sure the drivers are aware of that. We've had quite a few in previous years, drivers go over those curbs in the practice sessions and have realised that there is no point driving around there. Yeah. F1 Gamer, who do you think is most likely to win based on previous finishes? Well, I would hedge a bet that it would be Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen has got 5 consecutive poles not 5 consecutive poles. He has got 5 poles at the Red Bull Ring. I don't know if it's 5 consecutive, but let me just double check that. But yeah, Max Verstappen has 5 poles at the Red Bull Ring, and it is 5th. Oh no, it is his 5th consecutive pole at the Red Bull Ring. So I would hedge my bets at Max Verstappen. If you can get pole 5 times in a row, then he definitely can also go on and win the Grand Prix. Yeah. Oh, Matthew Putman, thank you for the €6 donation. Very much is appreciated, buddy. Yeah, cheers for helping out the channel. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is set up a little buy me a coffee link in the description. I'll have that sorted for the British Grand Prix. But yeah, really do appreciate you helping out the channel. And all of the donations and everything have led me to get a better mic, get a better laptop for streaming. And hopefully I can provide you with better and better coverage as time progresses. Yeah. Do you have any data on the most likely tyre strategy for the race? I know the Mercs are pretty quick on the hards, so if the hards are an option, they might use it. Indeed. So the quickest strategy, start on the medium tyres, go onto the hard tyres, and then go on to another set of mediums. Both Mercedes drivers, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, have 2 fresh sets of mediums and 1 fresh set of hards. Hence, they'll probably be going for that strategy, since Pirelli has recommended it. Also, pitting under green flag conditions, you lose 20 seconds in the pit lane. However, if you do pit under virtual safety car or safety car conditions, the drivers only lose 9 seconds, 11-second advantage that you would gain by pitting under the virtual safety car or safety car, which is absolutely enormous, and it's actually quite a lot bigger than most other circuits. Most of the circuits you gain maybe 7 seconds, maybe 8, maybe 9, but 11 seconds, one of the biggest that we've ever seen on the calendar. So it is very, very, it just spices things up if we do have a safety car deployed. Does Norris have 2 mediums? Indeed he does. The only drivers that don't have 2 sets of mediums are both Red Bull drivers. They've opted to go for 1 set of mediums and 2 sets of hards, whereas all of the other teams have opted to go for 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of hards. So maybe that is the difference. Max Verstappen might be quicker on pace, but if Lando Norris has the quicker tyres and the optimal strategy for today, then that could propel him into the lead of the race. Thoughts on Lando's chance of winning? Honestly, I think if Lando can get into the lead going into on the opening lap, if he can get the lead on the opening lap, Lando's Norris chances of winning absolutely skyrocket, because if you can hold Max Verstappen behind you, then the thing that you've got to keep in mind is McLaren's pace is not that far away from Mercedes' pace. So let's just consider a scenario where on the opening lap, Lando Norris overtakes Verstappen and then George Russell is still in 3rd place. Russell is going to be applying a massive amount of pressure to Max Verstappen in the hopes of keeping Lando Norris in check. So Verstappen will be stuck behind Norris and kind of get stuck in a DRS train. The most optimal way to, prevent Max Verstappen from winning is if he loses 2 positions. If he loses 2 positions and Norris and Russell work together and basically say, oh yeah, we're going to give each other DRS so Verstappen won't be able to overtake you, then that would be the best way to keep Verstappen behind. But yeah, if you can keep Verstappen in sort of a DRS train, that is the most optimal way to keep someone behind you. But yeah, that is a very big if you can keep Max behind you. And we'll see what happens. Of course, what happens in the opening lap is totally unpredictable. There are so many different things that could happen. I mean, we could have an aborted start like we did in the sprint race. So, yeah. Any chance of rain? And that is funny that you asked, because just now it's popped through on race control. The risk of rain is 10%, so it's quite minimal by the looks of it. And yeah, the skies are blue out in Spielberg and the clouds are very, very light in colour, so rain seems fairly unlikely. Okay. What do you make of Piastri overall? Well, I've got to say, Piastri, he had a spectacular lap yesterday, and being down in 7th position is really a disservice to the amount of pace that he had. He was up in 3rd position and then got a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 6. So, yeah, very, very unfortunate there for Piastri. He had a great lap, but those small margins cause quite a lot of harm. So, yeah, Piastri, I mean, overall as a driver, he's done a fantastic job. It's only a 2nd season in Formula 1, and yet he is matching Lando Norris right up there in the pecking order, has scored podiums, and is doing a fantastic job. So, yeah, Oscar Piastri, you've got to give the man props. 2nd season of Formula 1, and is under so much pressure, and is matching his teammate, and doing it flawlessly as well. Ocon and Perez will crash into each other at the first corner. That is that could definitely happen. Ocon and Perez have a lot of history going back to the Force India days in 2017 and 2018. So we'll see if they can keep themselves apart and stop them crashing into each other. Also, I'd like to say the Hasses, they have done absolutely brilliantly, and 9th position for Nico Hülkenberg, 12th position for Kevin Magnussen. The Hasses look really strong this weekend, and if they can perform well, then I'm really looking forward to it. And hopefully they can score some double points. That would be brilliant. Okay, we are 10 minutes away from lights out. We've got 2,000 people tuned into the coverage. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you are enjoying. And I'm going to have a quick sip of water before we get underway for the race. Yeah. All right, that is a good question, MCG. As there are 3 DRS zones, wouldn't it be better for Lando if he makes use of those to gain time and then lose it again by saving his tyres in the corners, or would dirty air nullify that advantage? That is quite the tough question to answer, but essentially yes, dirty air would nullify that. And the only way that he would be able to save his tyres and also not have dirty air nullify it is by hovering around that 9/10 of a second gap to Max Verstappen, which makes it extremely risky, because if you make even the slightest mistake, or Max's pushes a little bit more through a couple of corners and you aren't expecting it, then that gap creeps up to 1.1 seconds, you lose your DRS, and then that is game over. So he could theoretically, if he could hold a 0.9 second gap to Max Verstappen, he could take the advantage of DRS and also save his tyres. However, in practicality, it's much harder to do that, because your lap times aren't perfectly consistent. Max Verstappen's lap times aren't perfectly consistent, and because of that bit of inconsistency, you end up dropping out of the 1 second window, and you would, in fact, end up worse off. So, yeah. Hey, I'm a new subscriber, finding the live video in the chat very interesting. Well, it is a pleasure commentating to you folks. Alright, Lando looks comfortable to challenge Max in this race. Indeed he does. If he can get a good start, I would say he has a really good chance. In fact, yesterday he was challenging Max Verstappen and he was right up there, battling away. And in fact, he just got spooked by the fact that Max was all over his mirrors, right? Like, Lando looked right, looked in his right mirror, Max was there. Max darted over to the left, and then Lando looked to his left mirror, Max was there, and then got a little confused, outbraked himself, and yeah, hence missed the corner. Well, didn't miss the corner, stayed on the circuit very, very marginally, and then got overtaken by his teammate. So if he can take, if he can manage his racecraft a little bit better and not get spooked by the tricks that Max Verstappen will try and play on him, then that would be brilliant. However, we saw this, Lando Norris, in the sprint race yesterday. He was spooking Max Verstappen a little bit. He was looking to the inside. Max Verstappen fell for the bait, and then Lando Norris tried to get him back. Unfortunately, on that occasion, Lando Norris wasn't able to take advantage of the trick that he played on Verstappen, but maybe in today's race he will. Okay, who do you think will be driver of the day? It is, it's tough to say. Maybe, Fernando Alonso has a brilliant recovery from 15th position and gets all the way up into 7th. But, it's hard to say driver of the day without not a single lap of racing. That's for sure. Okay, we have 7 minutes till we get underway for the Grand Prix. Let me know what your predictions are. Who do you think is going to win this race? And I'm going to be running through a bunch of statistics. We've had quite a few record-breaking things happen in, not so record-breaking, but quite a few interesting statistics that give us a lot of insight into how the drivers are progressing this season. So we might as well start all the way from the bottom. We have got the gap between first and last in Q1 is 0.798 seconds in qualifying. That is the closest gap that we have ever seen in Formula One. Well, not in this current qualifying history. We've seen in Q1, that's the closest it's ever been, ever since Q1, Q2, Q3 was introduced. Valtteri Bottas, unfortunately, getting knocked out of Q1 for the previous 5 out of 6 races, and it's not been a good run for Valtteri Bottas, or even Guan Yu Zhou. The odds have not been going in Kick Sauber's favour, and their improvement has not been as steady as they would have liked. So, not great there. Lance Stroll is ended up in P17, which results in his second Q1 elimination of the season. The last time he got eliminated in Q1 was the Japanese Grand Prix. So Aston Martin have been doing kind of well, but their trajectory is going downwards rather than going upwards, to be honest. So we'll see if they can turn that around. Of course, I think they've got a new factory, and their wind tunnel will also be up and running, I think, at the end of this year. So it's looking good for Aston Martin. They've got new facilities, new wind tunnels, new factories and buildings, all in the works, and we'll see if that can help them further up the field. All right, Alex Albon as well, getting knocked out of Q1. That is the second Grand Prix in a row that he's been knocked out of Q1. Williams have been strong in previous races, but past 2 races, it's not been looking good for them. All right. Yuki Tsunoda qualified in 14th for the sprint. He qualifies in 14th for the race. So very consistent there from the RB. And they did bring upgrades for the previous weekend. They didn't work out. They've made some tweaks to the upgrades, figured out what was wrong, and they've cemented their place, getting through into Q2, but not much further. And once again, Tsunoda getting out-qualified by Daniel Ricciardo. So Ricciardo's back in form, and we'll see how long that lasts for. Okay, Guan Yu Zhou is still in the pits because he is starting from the pits. It looks like they've made some changes to his car overnight, and hence he's starting from the pit lane. Kevin Magnussen is starting in P12, which is his best qualifying of the season so far. Daniel Ricciardo has out-qualified Yuki Tsunoda for the 3rd time out of 11 qualifying sessions this year. So still, Yuki Tsunoda has got the upper hand on the Australian driver, but we'll wait and see how that progresses as we approach the summer break in a couple of weekends' time. Esteban Ocon made it through into Q3. That is his second consecutive Q3 appearance this season, and has also been the first time he hasn't been out-qualified by Pierre Gasly in the previous 4 Grand Prix. Nico Hülkenberg is up into Q3 for the 5th time this season. He's really been performing very, very well, and the Haas car, somehow underneath him, he's always managing to scrape it through into Q3. Sergio Perez in 8th position. This is the first time in the previous 5 races that he's made it through into Q3. Sergio Perez has been off form for quite a while now, but he's managed to make it through into Q3. So let's wait and see what he can do from 8th position in today's Grand Prix. Of course, Oscar Piastri in 7th position. He originally was up in 3rd, but got a lap time deleted, his best lap time deleted in Q3, and that dropped him down into 7th position. And we've got the softest tyres of Pirelli's range. We've got the C5s, the C4s, the C3s, the softest tyres in that Pirelli has to offer. And let's just stick this onto the race format. There we go, and we'll get the tyre information coming through as of in a couple of minutes time, so I'll let you know when the tyre information comes through. Then we have got Charles Leclerc has not been in the top 4. Well, this is the first time he's not been in the top 4 since winning his Grand Prix in winning his home Grand Prix in Monaco. And look at that, the tyre information come through, and everyone is starting the race on the medium tyres, apart from Guan Yu Zhou, who's starting from the pit lane. Everyone on the starting grid will be starting with the medium tyres, and that seems to be the most optimal strategy. Start the race on the mediums, and then the second and the third stints will be the differentiating factor. Do you go onto the hards, or do you go onto the mediums? We'll wait and see what the teams opt to do. But yeah, with high tyre wear, we have got a lot of different things that could happen in today's race. George Russell in 3rd position. That is his best ever qualifying at the Red Bull Ring, and Carlos Sainz has out-qualified Charles Leclerc for the first time in 7 Grand Prix. So Charles Leclerc having the upper hand for the past 7 Grand Prix, but Carlos Sainz being able to bounce back a little bit. Of course, Carlos Sainz has got that big stress in his mind. He's got to get that seat for 2025. It is a big surprise to me that he still hasn't found a seat, but I'm sure he's shopping around looking for the best possible team, and also a 1-year break clause so he can get out just in case they do not do well in 2026. Okay, and then of course we have got the top two, Lando Norris on the front row and Max Verstappen in first position. It's his 5th consecutive pole at the Red Bull Ring, and Lando Norris in second place means the front row is the exact same as what it was in the sprint race. The race will be getting underway in 30 seconds time. The formation lap will be, we'll have the full formation lap, and then we will have the race as normal. 71 laps of racing here at the Red Bull Ring. We'll be completing 305 kilometers as we normally do in Formula One. And if you have not tuned into the live stream before, I hope you are enjoying. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We've hit our like target, so I guess I can knock that up to 1,000, and hopefully we can hit 76k, maybe 77k subscribers by the end of this Grand Prix. We've got 5.5 thousand people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and let's get ready to do some racing. The engineers make their way to the side of the circuit. The lights on every single car is flashing, and in a second, and as you see on the right hand side of the screen, we've got the team radio coming through. 15 seconds till we get the green light for the formation lap to get underway. Okie dokie, here we go. Let's do some racing. Okay, here we go then. Everyone has made their way around the starting line, well, off the starting grid, and making their way to the making their way around the circuit, getting those clutch settings dialed in, getting everything dialed into the most optimal possible strategy, and then we will be doing the final bits of they'll be doing the final tweaks, getting those clutch settings dialed in, and getting the brakes and tires up into temperature as well. The screen's frozen. It'll be back in just 3 seconds. There we go. Yeah, I just had a little warning pop up on my screen. My internet has not been coping the best as of recently, but let's hope it's all right till the end of this race. The previous winners of this Grand Prix in 2022, it was Max Verstappen. In 2023, it was Max Verstappen. In 2022, it was Charles Leclerc. Let's wait and see who wins it today. The weather in Spielberg is nice and sunny. We have air temperatures at 29 degrees, track temperatures at 47 degrees, blue skies and wispy white clouds, as we have a couple of helicopters and planes flying over the Red Bull Ring. Okay, weekend attendance is at 300,000 as the drivers come out of the final corner. We have got some spectacular racing on our hands here today, where the drivers are going to lose 20 seconds if they pit under normal green flag conditions. They're going to lose 9 seconds if they pit under virtual safety car conditions or safety car conditions. The chance of a safety car is 50%. The chance of a virtual safety car is 30%. We have the formation lap coming to an end. Logan Sargent just making his way into the third sector now. Guan Yu Zhou starting from the pit lane after making a couple of tweaks to his car, breaking the Parc Fermé rules, and hence starting from the pit lane rather than the back of the pack. The lap times and the data will be working for the entire race, and they'll start as soon as the lights go out. And there we go. We've got everyone parked up in their correct grid slot. Max Verstappen already, Lando Norris, in fact, has turned his car a little bit to the left here. He's already trying to cut across Max Verstappen. Very, very aggressive grid position and grid stance from Lando Norris. And, it shows the intent. In the previous race at Spain, he was like, no, I'm not going to worry about George Russell. I'm going to try and chase down Max Verstappen. And I think Lando Norris has got the exact same thing in mind today. We've got the final cars approaching the grid. Guan Yu Zhou, Valtteri Bottas and Logan Sargent. There they are. They line up into the grid slot. We have 71 laps of racing around here at the Red Bull Ring. The green flag is being waved. We have 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. Max Verstappen gets a great start, and George Russell is already going for the outside line here, squabbling for position against Lando Norris. They make their way through turn number 1, and it's side by side, and Piastri goes wide there. We've got a couple of drivers going wide, but going into turn number 2, George Russell looks to the outside. Lando Norris is defending against his fellow Brit. Into turn number 2 they go. Max Verstappen is running away with this already. Lando Norris defends this, and we've got Russell stays in 3rd position. Piastri is back up into 6th. Sainz lost a position, and they are wheel to wheel. Sergio Perez and Oscar Piastri going into turn number 4. Who's going to get the move done? Oscar Piastri on the outside, Perez on the inside, and they're both powering out, and Piastri gets pushed onto the gravel by Sergio Perez, and that might be that's some solid racing there. And Piastri is losing positions. He's lost a position off the start, and Perez is up 2 places, but up at the front, Max Verstappen a 1.2 second gap, and because of George Russell applying so much pressure on Verstappen, on Norris to get the lead of this race, he's already dropped the DRS. Charles Leclerc's been told over the radio to box. This has not gone well, and Leclerc coming into the pits here. I don't know what is going on and why Charles Leclerc's coming into the pits, but it is not gone well. And can we get an F in the chat for Charles Leclerc? I'd appreciate it if it was just 1 F, but yeah, Leclerc into the pits, and there seems to be some sort of an issue. Oh no. Max Verstappen DRS has been enabled, and Lando Norris is gaining. The gap is 1.03 seconds. Charles Leclerc has damaged his front wing by the looks of it. Ferrari are replacing the front wing on Charles Leclerc's car, and a 12.9 second pit stop to replace the front wing for Charles Leclerc. He loses 30 seconds on the opening lap compared to the leaders. This has been a very, very bad opening lap for Charles Leclerc. Alright, in the lead of this race, we have Max Verstappen 1.2 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton here applying so much pressure on George Russell, his teammate. George Russell has no DRS in front of him, no slipstream in front of him, and he is under threat from his own teammate, who's going to be leaving the team at the end of this year. Let's see what Mercedes do. Do they rule in the favour of George Russell since he's staying at the team, or do they keep Lewis, do they let them race? As they go into turn number 1, Lewis Hamilton taking a much more aggressive line, had George Russell even going a little bit defensive there. And here they are going down the back straight. George Russell has the DRS, but Lewis Hamilton has the DRS. He sends it down the inside, but George Russell's going to have DRS coming out of turn number 3. Hamilton broke a little bit too early, and Russell's going to have the DRS as they go out of turn number 3. What can they do? Russell, he tries to re-overtake his teammate, and yes, he does. Russell maintains 3rd position against Lewis Hamilton, and the DRS cat and mouse game has worked in George Russell's favour. Sergio Perez with the fastest first sector. He's right on Sainz's tail, and looks like the recovery is back on for Sergio Perez. Starting in 8th, he's up 2 places, and if he can overtake Carlos Sainz, that will be 3 for him. Fastest lap of the race from Lando Norris, and it looks like he's trying to chase down Max Verstappen, but he's already 1.8 seconds down the road, and we might just be see you later until the end of this race. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. Here we go then. But yeah, a change of front wing for Charles Leclerc, that has been confirmed, and that is why he is right there at the back of the pack. Logan Sargent as well having to change front wing, and that is why he has been dropped to 20th position on the opening lap. Here we go then, the 2 Mercedes continuing to fight. Lewis Hamilton on this occasion a little bit too far back to get a move done, but he still has DRS on George coming out of turn number 3. As they head towards turn number 4, he gets the slipstream, he gets the DRS, and he is gaining, and he looks to the inside, but he's a little bit too far back, and he does not want to send a rash move in on his teammate. He'll get a very stern word from Toto Wolff if he does that. So he bides his time, and maybe another lap will pass till he gets an overtake done. Okay, here we go then. We're on lap number 4 of 71. 68 laps remain of this race. We've had a whole lot of action, and we've got a nice big DRS train all the way from 3rd position all the way down to 17th. in the middle there, we might have Nico Hulkenberg breaking up that DRS train, but let's wait and see what happens. Also, folks, if you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. Hopefully, we can hit 1,000 likes sometime soon. And we've just hit our subscriber target. That is absolutely fantastic. I guess it's time to knock that up. If we can hit 100k by the end of the year, then that would be simply lovely, as Max Verstappen would put it. And I'm sure Max Verstappen would be saying simply lovely in his own head, because the gap at the front is 2.3 seconds, and Lewis Hamilton, George Russell and Lando Norris can do absolutely nothing about it. There is a nice DRS train there. George Russell leading the way. It's towing Hamilton, Sainz, Perez and Piastri all along down the main straight, and Hamilton still too far back to get a move done. All right, that has been a great but hectic start to this Grand Prix, and let's hope the action continues as we make our way into the opening stint of this race. Okay, so just to confirm what happened between Piastri and Leclerc, the issue was Charles Leclerc went into turn number 1, Piastri came from the outside, and Leclerc just got in a little bit of a sandwich. Piastri round the outside, a bit of contact with Leclerc, and Leclerc was in a sandwich between Sergio Perez and Oscar Piastri, and that was it. DRS and a bit of... Oh my God, Carlos Sainz, what a move on Lewis Hamilton. He sends it down the inside. He plans the slingshot coming down the main straight, and there is nothing that Lewis Hamilton can do. He tries to fight it back going into turn number 4 now, and can he get the overtake done? No, he cannot. Carlos Sainz, take a bow. What an overtake he has done. That he's pulled off a spectacular move there. Absolutely spectacular there from Carlos Sainz, I've got to say. But yes, what I was talking about before, Oscar Piastri and Sergio Perez sandwiching Charles Leclerc, Leclerc getting damage and ending up at the back of the pack. And a smooth overtake from the smooth operator, and in fact Carlos Sainz overtaking the driver that is going to take his seat at Ferrari, and he has done that absolutely fantastically. Lewis Hamilton looking to fight it back though on the next lap. Here he comes. DRS is wide open. Carlos Sainz weaving around a little bit as they go into turn number 2. Hamilton is still a little bit too far behind to get the move done, and as they make the way through turn number 3, Hamilton has got DRS and he's got the slipstream, and he's right on the tail of Carlos Sainz as they go towards turn number 4. Is Carlos Sainz going defensive? By the looks of it, he is. Hamilton goes round the outside. Can he sweep round the outside? No, he cannot. What a defense by Carlos Sainz, putting his car at the correct place in the correct time, and he holds on to 4th position. We've got Sergio Perez. He is under pressure from Oscar Piastri here, and Piastri round the outside at turn number 6. What a move. You never see an overtake at turn number 6. The last overtake I remember at turn number 6 was 4 years ago, and Piastri has pulled one off set on lap number 7 of this Grand Prix. What a move at turn number 6 from Oscar Piastri. He goes round the outside of Sergio Perez, and see you later. Perez is going to fight this one back on the next lap, but we have got a whole lot of action here. Cheers to, all props to Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri. And once again, we are now going towards turn number 3. Lewis Hamilton, this seems identical to the previous lap, but he looks to the inside. He's taken a bit of a compromise line. Carlos Sainz taking the most optimal racing line he can. He gets a great exit out of 3, and here comes Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz already to the inside, weaving around a little bit, trying to break the DRS, trying to break the slipstream, and he has done that fantastically. He defends and he stays in 3rd position, and Lewis Hamilton can do absolutely nothing about it. Apologies, I meant Carlos Sainz stays in 4th position. But yes, a great defensive drive by Carlos Sainz. And, who knows what Charles Leclerc could have done. Unfortunately, his race has been compromised right by the start. He's going to have to hope for a safety car or something. But Yeah, Charles Leclerc and and Logan Sargent having to pit because of damaged front wings on the opening lap has thrown a massive spanner in the works. And a smooth operation from the smooth operator. And let's see how much longer can he keep Lewis Hamilton behind, or will Lewis Hamilton just drop off the back because his tyres are really going to be suffering with track temperatures now reaching 49 degrees. It was 46 degrees just before the start of the race. It's now 49 degrees. Track temperature is getting hotter and hotter, and the drivers are really going to be struggling as we're on lap number 9 of this Grand Prix. Hamilton's medium tyres will be starting to feel some of the pain as he's been pelting around this circuit. He's nearly done 40-50 kilometers now at full speed. Let's wait and see what he can do. Okay, I'm going to have a quick sip of water, folks, otherwise my throat is going to start hurting, but Carlos Sainz is doing some brilliant defending. Yes, we've just got the news from the stewards room that the incident between Perez and Piastri on the opening lap, there is no further investigation, and I think the reason that they've let him get away with it is because it is the opening lap of the race, and it is a bit hard and a bit tough to say. So they have decided to give them the benefit of the doubt, and no penalties have been given out there. And just a clarification on the original move when Carlos Sainz got past Lewis Hamilton, apparently that was Hamilton letting him by because the FIA told him to do so. It wasn't very clear on the live radio feed, but yes, the basically what happened was Hamilton, I think, went wide on the opening lap and overtook Carlos Sainz, and then the FIA were like, if you don't give the position back, then you're going to get a 5-second penalty. So they switched positions, and so the original overtake that Carlos Sainz did wasn't a spectacular overtake. It was Hamilton letting him by, but ever since then, Sainz has been doing some fantastic defensive driving. Just got to clarify a couple other facts before we make our way towards the end of this first stint. The drivers, of course, they did 24 laps on the medium tyres for the sprint race, and they're going to be doing probably 20 laps on the medium tyres for this race because, of course, you've got to take into account the 100 extra kilograms of fuel. We've also got someone coming into the pits here. Someone is coming into the pits. We've got two drivers, in fact, one of the Hasses and one of the Racing Bulls. We've got K-Mag into the pits and Daniel Ricciardo into the pits. All coming in for a rather early stop here. A little bit odd. Don't normally see a pit stop on lap number 11 of this Grand Prix, but let's wait and see. They bolt on the hard tyres for Daniel Ricciardo. 2.5 seconds there and 2.9 seconds for Kevin Magnussen. Great stop there by both teams, and both drivers come out on a set of hard tyres. A very early pit stop. I don't know why they pitted so early, but yeah, I mean, Charles Leclerc, Logan Sargent, both drivers are doing all right on the hard tyres. They're not exactly going quicker than everyone else by an absolute massive margin. So I don't see why they would opt for the hard tyres. But, I'm sure the strategists know a lot more about what's going on compared to what I know. So let's wait and see. Out at the front, we've got Max Verstappen with a 4.6 second lead over Lando Norris. Absolutely enormous there, and it seems like he's just managing the gap. If you look at the lap times, Norris was 0.3 slower, 0.2 slower on the previous lap. Not too significant there, but of course Max Verstappen is showing that he does have a little bit more of a pace advantage. The other Haas as well, Nico Hülkenberg coming into the pits. Both Haas drivers have decided to come into the pits early, or maybe it's the Haas team. Maybe they're preparing for a potential safety car. Fernando Alonso a 2.4 second stop, Nico Hülkenberg a 3.4 second stop. Very, very quick stops from the pit crews here. And we've got the two Hasses coming out alongside each other in 15th and 16th position. And it looks like what they're trying to do is just come out in some clean air, really. If you look at Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen, admittedly, it's a bit of a lock-up and the Hasses go wide. I was going to say Gunter Steiner wouldn't be pleased, but Gunter Steiner is no longer team principal, and the Hasses are squabbling amongst themselves. And I'm sure whoever the team principal is, I think it's whoever the team principal is at Haas is not going to be particularly pleased about that, because the aim was to get them into clean air, and they have done that. They've in fact got 10 or 10 seconds of clean air ahead of them, which means that they could do some laps without getting too much tyre wear. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what the Haas do. K-Mag settles out ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, and they've been told not to fight over the radio because Daniel Ricciardo is fast approaching. Alex Albon into the pits, another driver coming in for an early stop. And then now we've got Valtteri Bottas has promoted up into 12th place. But up at the front, the gaps have all been spread out. The DRS train has been totally broken up, and in fact, the gaps are far much bigger. Well, a lot bigger. In fact, nobody in the top 14 has got DRS on anyone because all of the gaps have increased beyond 1 second. All right. A spectacular start to this spectacular Grand Prix. Guys, if you are enjoying, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be commentating for the British Grand Prix qualifying and the British Grand Prix race as well. So, yeah, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out. Here we go then. A lot of early pit stops, though. And we'll wait and see if that continues. Maybe the drivers in the top 4 will come in early as well. It really depends on a pit stop window. If they can find a window where they do have clean air, then that might be the way forward. And also, Charles Leclerc here is under pressure from Alex Albon. So I don't know what's up with that, but Charles Leclerc is really getting chased down by Alex Albon. And there's also an issue saying Charles Leclerc has just come into the pits because he really hasn't. It says Charles Leclerc's hard tyres have done 0 laps, so that is a mistake. Apologies for that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. How's Albon about to overtake Charles Leclerc as they go into turn number 2? Can Alex Albon get the move done? They're side by side, and Albon looks to have got past. The question is, does he have DRS coming out of turn number 3? They go across the DRS line, and it looks like we have got Charles Leclerc, the driver, with the DRS, and they head towards turn number 3, but yet he's still not able to get the overtake done. It seems like even though Charles Leclerc's got a new front wing and a new set of hard tyres, he must have damage elsewhere if he's getting overtaken by a Williams. And yeah, it looks like the Ferrari's been damaged more than just the front wing, and the front wing was just a botch job. Well, not a botch job, a band-aid for the fact that they've got a massive amount of damage. The opening lap sandwich between Piastri and Perez has really cost Charles Leclerc. He's got damage, and he's got more damage and more significant damage than just the front wing. The Haas team have been told to that they both need to save tyres, and Kevin Magnussen, the driver in 15th position, has just been told that both cars need to save the tyres, and he's just said F that, and then turned off the radio. So it looks like he's just completely ignored the message to save tyres and don't try and overtake your teammate. K-Mag is going right after Nico Hülkenberg, so who knows? K-Mag is doing K-Mag things, to be honest. Leclerc's damage is underside / suspension at the end of Q3. Right, I think they're allowed to repair damages that happen in quali. They're just not allowed to upgrade the parts, so that should be fine. But I think he got even more damage in the opening lap. All right. Yeah, Leclerc's got older tyres compared to Albon. That's also another thing to take into account. His hard tyres, he's done 13 laps or so, which means that they're going to be around about a second a lap slower compared to a fresh set of hards, and hence the overtake for Alex Albon was kind of straightforward. But they are, of course, on different strategies, which changes things up a bit. Okay. Let's see what else is going on the circuit. Well, everyone nice and spread out. Gasly and Ocon not fighting amongst themselves too much. Gasly is in 9th position. Ocon is in 8th. So if Gasly does catch up, then we might have a bit of inter-Alpine rivalry, and that never goes down well. The Alpines don't have the greatest of histories the two drivers don't have a greatest of history, and we'll see how that plays out on the circuit, but as of now they are 1.3 seconds apart, and the two Hasses are giving us a nice bit of action to watch as they come out of the final corner, as they make their way towards turn number 1. We'll see what K-Mag does and if he tries to overtake Nico Hülkenberg, but as of now he's a bit too far back to get anything done. All right, a recap of the start. We might as well do a recap of the start. We're 17 laps into this race. We're going to have a couple more pit stops coming in, and there we go. Charles Leclerc has come into the pits. He puts on a fresh set of medium tyres with a 2.9 second pit stop. And a quick refresher of what happened on the opening lap. Well, we had contact between Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Sergio Perez, and well, actually no contact between Leclerc and Perez. There was contact between Leclerc and Piastri, which gave him damage. We had Lewis Hamilton go wide on turn number 1 and make an overtake on Carlos Sainz. Hence, they had to switch positions, and Carlos Sainz has got 4th. Lewis Hamilton has got 5th. George Russell was so close to overtaking Lando Norris at turn number 3, but Norris defended that successfully. And while those two were squabbling, Max Verstappen said, "Thank you very much. I'll see you at the end of this race." And we haven't seen anything of him since. So that's kind of what's been going on so far. That's kind of what happened in the opening lap. Nothing too much happened at the back of the pack. I think Logan Sargent got damage, but apart from that, everything else was fairly clean. And Charles Leclerc really struggling in 20th position. Of course, he's done 2 pit stop. Everyone else has done 1. All right, Hülkenberg has now made a move on Guan Yu Zhou. Now it's Kevin Magnussen's job to get a DRS on Guan Yu Zhou and try and get the overtake done, and indeed he does just that. He gets past Guan Yu Zhou on the next corner, and the two Hasses have done a double overtake on Guan Yu Zhou. All right. Here we go then. The two Hasses were up into the points before they came into the pits, and I have a feeling that after the pit stops are done, they might end up in the points as well. It's looking fairly good for the Haas team. All right, Charles Leclerc, he's overtaken Logan Sargent, but he's also about to get lapped, so it's not looking good there for the Ferrari driver. Charles Leclerc's previous lap time was in fact, he's just come out of the pit, so we can't work out what his previous lap time was, but right at the top of the pack, Max Verstappen a 1:11.3, Lando Norris a 1:11.2. So it looks like Max Verstappen has settled to keep the gap at 6 seconds, not extend it too much more, and I think that should be enough for a pit stop window as well. All right, Alex Albon, and okay, I've got something that might be good news, and actually not even might, it probably is good news. Charles Leclerc and Alex Albon, both drivers that have been driving around the hard tyres for a bit now, both of them have said that the hard tyres are not that good of a race tyre. They're really not all that quick. They don't provide that much grip, and they wear out pretty quickly. So the hard tyres are not the optimal race tyres. The medium tyres are the optimal race tyres. Now, of course, you do have to use 2 different compounds. So the optimal strategy, start on the mediums, go on to the hards, then go on to the mediums again. That is the best strategy. And Max Verstappen cannot do that because he does not have 2 fresh set of mediums. Max Verstappen only has 1 fresh set of mediums, and he has 2 fresh sets of hard tyres. So Verstappen is going to be on the suboptimal strategy with tyres that aren't performing as expected, and that could really help out Lando Norris, because he will have, for at least 20 laps of this race, he will have tyres that are quicker than Max Verstappen's tyres, and that could really help and aid reducing that 5 second, 6 second gap down to a couple, well, maybe 1 second, maybe 2 seconds. We've had one of the Saubers go wide at turn number 2, and it seems like that was Valtteri Bottas making a mistake there. Not something that you see very often. Oh, sorry, it was Guan Yu Zhou. Apologies for that. Guan Yu Zhou making a mistake going through turn number 3, going straight on after locking up, and he's not looked the most confident, and the team have decided to change the setup before in Parc Fermé, and yet Zhou really not doing that well as he goes into turn number 3, got overtaken by one of the cars and then went very, very wide. And in fact got hit. So apologies for that. Guan Yu Zhou did get hit when he went very wide as well. So that obviously has to be taken into account. He got hit by one of the Astons, and who is that going to be? Was that Alonso? Maybe it was Alonso, maybe it was Stroll. I can't actually figure it out. Yeah, because we've just had a few pit stops. Yeah, Zhou has gained a lot of positions, but that's because everyone else has come into the pits and he hasn't. So, Zhou started in 20th. He's up into 13th. But all of the drivers behind him have done a pit stop. Zhou is still yet to pit. And that's why, yeah. All right, Esteban Ocon seems to have... Oh, yeah, it was Alonso. We've just got a message from race control. They're under investigation, Alonso versus Zhou, for causing a collision. That might be a 5-second penalty coming Alonso's way because it did not look like a particularly clean move there from Fernando Alonso. We've got Lewis Hamilton, the first of the front runners to come into the pits. Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, both drivers making their way into the pits. And Perez really getting onto the throttle ASAP to try and get a quick pit stop. To try and get out the pit box as soon as possible. 2.1 second pit stop from the Red Bull crew, so them gaining a couple of tenths there, and Perez makes his way out onto turn number onto that straight, and he's just out ahead of one of the Racing Bulls. Oh, Oscar Piastri over the radio saying that Lewis Hamilton crossed the white line on pit entry. That could be a serious 5-second penalty for crossing the white line on pit entry. We've got a replay here, so let's wait and see. Piastri has accused Lewis Hamilton of crossing the white line, and here they go. Hamilton gets a bit of oversteer and looks like he's crossed the white line a little bit. I think the rear tyre might have crossed the white line. It's been noted. We could have a potential penalty coming Hamilton's way because, the rules are rules. You've got to stay within the lines. It might be a bit ridiculous at times, but it is, of course, for safety's sake. That's under investigation. I'll let you know what the outcome of that is. George Russell comes into the pits. Carlos Sainz comes into the pits. Russell out on the mediums. Hamilton and Carlos Sainz out onto the hards. Both Russell and Sainz, both of them have 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of hards. So Sainz has opted to go for the hard tyres for now. Russell has opted for the mediums. Now the question is, Russell thinks that the middle of the race is the best time to attack, and then you can kind of play it safe on the hards towards the end of the race. But maybe that's not the way forward. Maybe it is best to go onto the hards now and use the medium tyres when you have the lightest fuel load. Yeah. Yep, Fernando Alonso has been given a 10-second time penalty. I wasn't expecting a 10-second one. He's given a 10-second time penalty for Fernando Alonso for causing a collision. Max Verstappen comes into the pit, 2.7 second pit stop. Lando Norris into the pits, 2.6 second pit stop. Oscar Piastri currently leading this race. He'll be coming in on the following lap. As you can see, the medium tyres doing 23 laps or so. So that means with 23 laps at the end of this race still to do, these hard tyres, the driver should be aiming to do another 25 laps on these hard tyres. Okay. Max Verstappen out on a set of hard tyres. Lando Norris as well out on a set of hard tyres. So both drivers out on hards. So they should be fairly equal in terms of lap time. But then in the final stint, Lando Norris will be on a set of mediums and Max Verstappen will be on a set of hards. So that is going to be the time when Lando Norris is really going to gain on Max Verstappen, and potentially we could see an overtake happen there in the final stint of this race. We've still got to wait and see. The pace difference, actually, let me check the pace difference from Pirelli. Pirelli usually publish the pace difference in between the mediums and the hard tyres, and it could be quite significant. And let's have a look. No, Pirelli haven't published it this weekend out. By the looks of it, it's normally 0.4 of a second a lap, so that should be fairly good. Oh, and Lewis Hamilton, a 5-second penalty has been awarded to Lewis Hamilton for crossing the white line at pit entry. So Yeah, 5 second penalty there for Lewis Hamilton. I mean, the rule's a rule. I mean, he didn't even fully cross. Maybe his front wheel didn't cross the line. Maybe his rear wheel did, but it's a 5 second penalty either way. And Hamilton will have to serve that at his next pit stop. And Fernando Alonso will have to serve a 10 second penalty at his next pit stop as well. Okay, we've got 15,000 people tuned into the live stream. If you are enjoying, folks, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Hopefully we could hit 77,000 subscribers. That would be the same number as Valtteri Bottas is number. Well, 77 is Valtteri Bottas' number, so if we could hit that, that would be brilliant. But yeah, 100k is, of course, the target for the end of the year. And I think we have to hit 77k this live stream to make ourselves on track for 100k at the end of the year. Either way, we're on lap number 25 of 71, and Oscar Piastri comes into the pits. George Russell with a fastest lap of the race, going 0.2 of a second quicker than Max Verstappen on his outlap. But of course, George Russell is on a set of mediums. Max Verstappen is on a set of hard tyres, and it's not looking good. There is a bit of an unsafe release apparently between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, but that has been noted, and I don't think that is currently under investigation. Lando Norris quickly takes the fastest lap away from George Russell by going 1/10 of a second quicker, and he's 0.3 of a second quicker compared to Max Verstappen. So Lando Norris looking to push here and looking to close that gap and try and maintain it, really. The most key thing that he can do is not let that gap get bigger than maybe, say, 6, 7, 8 seconds. I mean, the smaller the better, really, but he's really not to... He does not want to get it to expand, because the more that it expands, the harder it will be in the final stint to actually catch up to Max Verstappen, and hence, yeah, he's just got to focus on minimizing that gap and keeping it as small as possible. Okay. We have hit the like target once again. I guess it's time to increase that to 2,000 likes. But thank you, everyone, for hitting the like button. It really does help out the channel. All right, we have got 14,000 people watching. Very much is appreciated. And let's see what else have we got going on the circuit. Look at that, Sergio Perez on the back of Nico Hülkenberg. This should be a fairly straightforward move for the Mexican driver. And let's see if he can pull this one off. As we now go into lap number 27 of this race. Okay, here we go. Sergio Perez, the purple first sector. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, and it seems like he should be able to breeze past Nico Hülkenberg as they now head towards turn number 4. There they go. He's got the slipstream, and he looks to the inside. Nico Hülkenberg knows there's really no point fighting this one, and it seems to be that Sergio Perez has got the overtake done. Done and dusted is the overtake there for Sergio Perez. A fantastic job. Fantastic job there. And yes, okay. All right, what else have we got going on then? Fernando Alonso right on the back there of Daniel Ricciardo. Nico Hülkenberg, he's got slipstream on Perez, so it seems like he's not going to try and fight that one, though. It would be a little bit pointless to try and do that. Yeah. Okie dokes then. Let me get the chat back up. Oh yes, and just for anyone that doesn't know, Charles Leclerc, he got damage on the opening lap of the race, and that's why he's right at the back. Max Verstappen complaining a little bit about upshifting at the end of the straight, and yeah, he's complaining a little bit about gear, upshifting, which is not something that you usually see. Might be a sign of something to come, but I'm not gonna hold my, I'm not going to bet on that. Yeah. Did Leclerc get a pillow? It must be boring down in P19. Indeed, it will. Yeah. All right, we've got Fernando Alonso. He's right on the back there of Daniel Ricciardo, and let's wait and see what he can do. Oh yeah, and this is the other thing. I don't think it's an actual real big issue there with Max Verstappen's car. I'll just like to confirm that. I don't know what's going on with it's just sort of kind of sped up there. Essentially, what's going on is if he shifts up into 8, the car decides, right, it's time to start slowing down. We've reached the end of the straight. Whereas if he keeps it in 7th, the car will keep upshifting. The car will just keep accelerating and it won't start recovering energy. Yeah, that's essentially what's going on. Oh, there we go. Lando Norris, another fastest lap of the race, and he's purple in the final sector. Oh, they've come over the radio to Charles Leclerc saying that you can still reach the points even if there isn't a safety car. So Charles Leclerc, not all hope has been lost. Now we'll wait and see if he can actually progress his way up 8 positions and up into 10th place, at least to score 1 point. But it is going to be something very, very tough to do. Okay. Verstappen's second seconds out in the lead, and he's been saying that it is still pretty gusty out here. The wind conditions have not been ideal, and the driver's struggling with that a little bit. Track temperature has dropped back down to 45 degrees. The sun has gone behind a couple of clouds, so track temperature has decreased, and the tailwind going into turn number 3, is extremely difficult to deal with because you are braking uphill, which helps a bit, but yeah, when it gusts up to 30 kilometers an hour or something along those lines, you can have a massive lockup. George Russell had one of those on the lap to the grid, so that's just before the formation lap. George Russell had a massive lockup because of a 40 kilometer per hour gust into turn number 3, and we could have a potential safety car just caused by a massive gust of wind in a bit of an unpredictable direction. All right, but yeah, I'm sure Ferrari are hoping for a safety car here, otherwise Charles Leclerc's race seems to be very difficult. Sergio Perez is currently under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. So if he's found to be speeding, then that could be a 5-second penalty heading his way, maybe even at 10 seconds, I'm not exactly sure. Rain is predicted at 4 p.m. Spielberg time. I'm going to have a double check of the weather. The FIA said there'd be a 10% chance of rain. I'm just going to check what Google says about the weather in Spielberg. And if we do have rain, then, I would gladly welcome it because, we know what happens when we get rain. It rains like it does in Montreal, and it would be fantastic. Unfortunately, Google right now is telling me that the chance of rain at 4 o'clock in Spielberg is 0%. So, yeah. Who knows? I will let you know if it starts raining, folks. I'm sure I will, because I'll be very, very pleased about it, and I'll get far too excited. But as of now, it is. I think it's 3 p.m. In Spielberg, or maybe 4 p.m. in Spielberg. So, yeah. Okay, we're on lap number 32 of 71. We're approaching the halfway point of this race. Everyone except Charles Leclerc and Logan Sargent have done 1 pit stop. Sargent and Leclerc have done 1 more pit stop than the rest of them. But yeah, it should be a 2-stop race for most drivers. We have had a 5-second penalty given out to Sergio Perez for speeding in the pit lane, and that is, rules are rules. Perez broke a little bit too late in the pit lane, and he's been handed a 5-second time penalty. He'll be serving that at his next pit stop, so that's something to keep in mind. Perez with a 5-second penalty, Hamilton with a 5-second penalty, Fernando Alonso with a 10-second penalty. Those are the 3 penalties that have been given out. It is 3:40 in Spielberg. Yeah, there we go. As I was saying a couple of laps ago, Lando Norris has to do his utmost best to try and reduce the gap between himself and Max Verstappen, and the gap has gone from 7 seconds to 7.7 tenths 7.7 seconds now, and it is slowly but surely creeping up as Max Verstappen is going quicker and quicker, and Lando Norris is unable to match the lap times. I mean, Piastri, Norris, and Verstappen are the only three drivers in the 109s in the race stint. Max Verstappen in a 109.5, Lando Norris 109.9, and Oscar Piastri a 109.7. So yeah, fairly difficult there to keep up with with Max Verstappen, and never mind. Lando Norris has just set a fastest lap of the race, and it looks like he'll be trying his best to keep up with Max Verstappen, but it is going to be tough to keep up that pace for the next 10 or so laps before he comes into the pits. All right, Gasly's come over the radio saying we've got to pass Alonso fast. We are losing time now, and he's totally correct. Ocon's got to get past Alonso because if he doesn't, then he's losing time to Ricciardo and he's losing time to both of the Hasses, which are the real competitors, the Alpines here. The Alpines seem to be the fifth fastest car in quali, but when it comes to race conditions, the Haas seems to be doing better than them, and they seem to be the fifth fastest team. So Alpine, their real competitors are Haas, and Haas are in 8th and 9th, and Alpine are down in 12th and 13th. We've got another pit stop for Charles Leclerc. This is his third pit stop. There are 37 laps remaining in this race. Will he be able to go to the end on a set of medium tyres? I don't know. There is no further action between Verstappen and Norris for the unsafe release. I think they investigated it and they've said no further action. But Charles Leclerc has got to do 37 more laps on a set of medium tyres unless he wants to do another pit stop. I mean, Charles Leclerc is just having the absolute worst luck, and Ferrari are just making it worse by doing the most confusing and ununderstandable strategy choices I've ever seen. Like, he does have floor damage, I think, by the looks of it, but at that point you might as well just retire and have the ability to use a fresh gearbox for the next race without getting a penalty. Like, yeah, Leclerc's race is totally over unless it means unless we get a safety car. Yeah. The slash in the tyre history, a slash means the driver came out on a used set of tyres. Without the slash means the driver came out on a fresh set. So as you can see, Lando Norris, he came out on a used set of tyres. His hard tyres, I think he'd done one lap on them before he came out. But yeah, Verstappen came out on a fresh set. I don't know why the Ferrari don't put him out on a set of wet tyres, really. Yeah. Alonso has just been overtaken by both Alpines. He's just come over the radio, said wow, and that's it. And now he's said box, and he's coming into the pits. Fernando Alonso, a double overtake, getting overtaken by both Alpines. It's not been the best of times for him. And here he is. He's coming into the pits now. Very, very interesting. Let's wait and see what happens. What's the difference between a virtual safety car and a safety car? A virtual safety car, the driver's just told to slow down, and they get a little warning on their dashboard being like, you've got to stick to this speed. Whereas an actual safety car is, the actual safety car comes out onto the circuit, and then the drivers just follow the safety car. They don't have anything on their dashboard. All right, Alonso had his 14.4 second pit stop. That was, of course, a 10-second time penalty plus the time required to change his tyres. Pierre Gasly, Ocon got the overtake done going into turn number 3, and then Pierre Gasly, if we're just watching the replay here, Ocon got the overtake done into 1, and then going into turn number 3, Gasly got the overtake done. But Gasly getting pushed off the circuit by Ocon, and he's not particularly pleased. The two Alpines are never having fun with each other. They're always on the same piece of tarmac because they're both quick drivers, and they are both in a fairly, their cars have got the same amount of upgrades and everything. So they're both always right next to each other, and they never get along well. I've never seen the two Alpine drivers cooperate, ever. There's always been complaining. Yeah. But yeah, Gasly really felt that Ocon cut him off badly, and he's quite annoyed about that over the radio. Yuki Tsunoda here looking to overtake Alex Albon. We'll wait and see what he can do as he now exits turn number 3, gets a brilliant exit and gets the overtake done, in fact. As they now head towards turn number 4, is Albon gaining on him? Albon is not. Tsunoda timed that nicely. He had the DRS at the detection point, and he's now got the 13th position off Alex Albon. Daniel Ricciardo is currently in 10th. He's still in the last points paying position. Ocon and Gasly will be chasing him down, trying to take that 1 point away from him, but we'll wait and see what will happen. Okay, we are on lap number 38 of 71. We've reached and gone past the halfway point. And currently the lead of this race is held by Max Verstappen with a gap of 7.8 seconds. Lando Norris is holding that. It was previously 6 seconds, now it is increased up to 8, but Lando Norris is seeming to be managing that just all right. And let's see, I mean, Charles Leclerc is holding the exact same lap time that Lando Norris is doing, and in fact Leclerc's getting DRS of Lando Norris, even though Leclerc's technically a back marker. He's right behind there. Lando is right behind Norris. He's looking to try and just stick with him. That will, I guess, help him out, get him to catch up to Daniel Ricciardo soon enough. Do you think Lando has a tyre advantage? This is the main thing. This is what I'm waiting for. Lando Norris currently does not have a tyre advantage. Both drivers out on the hard tyres. Both of them have done 15 laps on them, so no tyre advantage there. But on the following stint, Max Verstappen, because this is a sprint weekend and we've had the sprint quali, the actual sprint race, another set of qualifying session, and then the actual race. There are not enough tyres left, and Verstappen has only got one more set of hard tyres. That's the only tyres he's got left and available to him. Lando Norris has got one set of medium tyres available to him, and the mediums, they're quicker than the hards, and they can also go to the end of this race. So yeah, essentially, in the final stint, Lando Norris is going to have a huge advantage over Max Verstappen. Now, the question is, will he be able to capitalise on that? Will he be able to catch up? Will he be able to overtake? Yeah, only time will tell. We've got 32 laps remaining in this race. I'm sure we'll have Lando pitting in 10 laps time. Verstappen's in fact come over the radio saying, I don't know what's happening. The tyres are suddenly really bad, and the lap times reflect that. The times have dropped off a cliff. Both Verstappen was holding a 109.5 for the majority of this stint. It's now increased to a 110.2. It sounds like 0.7 of a second, but if the tyres fall off a cliff, then that is a good sign there for Lando Norris. Okay, let's wait and see. Stroll has got the overtake done on Alex Albon. Nice overtake there from Lance Stroll, and now Stroll's got his sights set on Yuki Tsunoda in 11th position. Okay, but the Haas team doing really, really well. They've had K-Mag come into the pits. Now they've had Nico Hülkenberg coming into the pits. Once all of the pit stops filter through, the Haases should make their way out into the points, which, yeah, it's great for them. I don't think they've scored all that many points this season. Let me just check the Constructors' standings. But yeah, the Constructors' standings, Haas have only scored 7 points. So if they can end up in 7th and 8th position, then that would be a solid point scoring weekend for them today. And the two Alpines are squabbling, and they're side by side through turn number 4, and they are giving none of them an inch. And here they are into 6, and it is Pierre Gasly that holds it through the inside. Esteban Ocon round the outside does not have enough grip, but both drivers still fighting away, and the Alpines are just going at it constantly. Yeah. Of course, Esteban Ocon, the driver who's departing this team, Pierre Gasly, the driver who is staying, he's ended up ahead, so I guess Alpine have made the correct choice here, but Ocon will not give this up so easily, and as they make their way down the start-finish straight once again, Esteban Ocon will be chasing down Gasly, and here they go out of the final corner. Both drivers squirming a little bit on the exit of turn number 1, trying to get as much traction as possible, and here comes Esteban Ocon. He is gaining and gaining. He looks to the inside, and he decides not to go for the move there. Can he get a move done into turn number 4? That's the question. DRS flap once again wide open into turn number 4. Let's wait and see what he can do. All right. Yeah, the Alpines are always at it, and it never ends well. So as I go into turn number 4, Ocon once again a little bit too far back, and look at this, Daniel Ricciardo purple in the first sector. I mean, I know that he got a toe off Kevin Magnussen, but still, purple in the first sector is absolutely ludicrous. In fact, let's just have a quick look at what the top speed was. What top speed did Daniel Ricciardo do in the first sector? 328 kilometers an hour, and Max Verstappen has been doing 300 kilometers an hour down the main straight. So, as you can see, a 28 kilometer per hour advantage for any of the drivers going down with the slipstream and DRS. Absolutely enormous. All right, the gap is decreasing. Lando Norris is closing up on Max Verstappen a little bit here. Verstappen, of course, he has hit a bit of traffic, so that's causing him to slow down a bit. But yeah, Lando Norris is closing up bit by bit, and we'll wait and see what will happen. But yeah, the drivers are kind of in this tyre preservation mode here. As you can see, if Daniel Ricciardo is setting a purple first sector, then you can tell everyone else is very much in tyre conservation mode. So let's wait and see. Why is Daniel Ricciardo out of the points? It is because not everyone ahead of him has come into the pits yet. So I'm sure when the Alpines come into the pits, and when Tsunoda and Stroll and Bottas come into the pits, that'll cause Daniel to come back up into the points by the looks of it. Yeah, Alex Albon is under investigation for crossing the pit line at pit entry. We saw this with Hamilton. He got a 5-second penalty for it, so I'm sure the stewards will not be afraid to give out another 5-second penalty. Pierre Gasly, his pit stop was 3.0 seconds. Now we'll see what Esteban Ocon gets in terms of a pit stop. Will that be quicker? Will that be slower? But yeah, there is a definite chance that they could swap around in the pits. But let's wait and see. I mean, now Ocon has quite a bit of a clear track ahead of him, so it might be optimal time to try and push. And Pierre Gasly as well, he's got quite a clear track ahead of him as well. Also, this is a very, very big shame for Charles Leclerc. I'd just like to say, I mean, look at this. He's been right on the back of Lando Norris. He's been with the slipstream. Ooh, Esteban Ocon, a bit of carbon fiber has just fell off his car. It seems like a pretty critical piece of carbon fiber as well. And Esteban Ocon now down on downforce, going over the curbs vibrating the car and causing a bit of resonance there. And a piece of carbon fiber flying off the car. It's currently sat in the gravel trap. So Esteban Ocon down on downforce compared to his teammate. He comes into the pits now. Let's see how quick his pit stop is. They lift the car up onto the jacks, and a perfectly synchronized dance between the team, and a 2.2 second pit stop for Esteban Ocon. Does he come out ahead of Pierre Gasly? That will throw a massive spanner into the works, and Gasly will not be pleased whatsoever. But no, Esteban Ocon comfortably behind Pierre Gasly as they exit the pits. All right. That has been the Alpines, and look at that, the gap down to 6.5 seconds. Come on, Lando Norris. I mean, I know that as a commentator, I'm supposed to be not biased, but Lando Norris, I really hope that you catch up to Max Verstappen, and hopefully you can bolt on a set of medium tyres when Max Verstappen bolts on a set of hards, and potentially go on to win this race. But let's wait and see. All right, we've just hit 2,000 likes. That is incredible. The likes just keep on going up. Thank you everyone for hitting the like button. And if you are enjoying them, of course, be sure to subscribe as well. But here we go. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll having a bit of a squabble down there in 16th and 17th position. Of course, both teammates. But yeah, it's not looking great for the Aston Martin team down in 16th and 17th. They've got a lot of ground to make up. Yuki Tsunoda comes into the pits here, and let's wait and see what he can do. All right, here we go then. Tsunoda out of the pits. And Alex Albon has been given a 5-second time penalty for crossing the line at pit entry. So, once again, a very little thing, but a 5-second time penalty could be the difference between him scoring points and him not scoring points. The top 7 are still yet to pit. Everyone apart from the top 7 has done their second pit stop. Guan Yu Zhou, of course, is a bit of an exception there, him starting from the pit lane, of course. But yeah. Let's wait and see now. Let's wait and see what happens. We have got 26 laps remaining, so the drivers can bolt on a set of mediums and go to the end. Of course, they did it in the sprint race. They did 24 laps of racing on a set of mediums to go to the end. So let's see. Let's see what will happen. Right, and Kevin Magnussen now purple through the first sector. He goes a little bit quicker than Daniel Ricciardo did. And George Russell, the first driver of the front runners to come into the pits. Let's wait and see what will happen. 2.3 second pit stop for George Russell, and he comes out on a set of medium tyres as expected. He comes out on a set of hard tyres as expected for his final stint of the race. 25 laps remain, and there we go for George Russell. Okay. Hello, Finny. Nice to see you here. What happened to Leclerc? Leclerc got a massive amount of damage. Well, he got a sandwich between Piastri and Perez on the opening lap and had to pit, and he's been at the back ever since. Alright, Piastri has the potential to overtake Lewis Hamilton here. It's been a while since we've had a squabble up at the front, but here comes Oscar Piastri, both drivers on used hard tyres, but Piastri has really been catching up to Hamilton on the previous couple of laps. They're both recharging their batteries as they go through the final sector. It seems like they're getting ready to deploy some of that overtake mode. Oscar Piastri opens the DRS flap coming down the main straight, and let's wait and see what he can do. Carlos Sainz into the pits. He's coming in for his pit stop. Let's see Max Verstappen. Verstappen's come over the radio saying, I can't hold this much longer, mate. So, yeah. Essentially, Verstappen can't do much. And Piastri, great overtake there on Lewis Hamilton. And he's got the slipstream as well. What a move by Oscar Piastri. Great job there. And he cements third place there, Oscar Piastri. And Piastri, I've got to say, he is doing a fantastic job. He's managed to overtake Lewis Hamilton, and as now they head towards turn number 6, he is firmly ahead as they go into the pit stop phase. If McLaren make sure the pit stops are nice and quick, then it should be a definite P3 for Oscar Piastri. Well, unless something else happens in the next 23 laps of this race. Carlos Sainz now, he's on the back of George Russell. We'll wait and see what he can do. Sainz on a fresh set of mediums, George Russell on a fresh set of hards. So this is the tyre difference that we're going to see up at the front. What can Sainz do with respect to George Russell? Will he be able to catch up that 4.7 second gap? Because if Sainz can catch up that gap, then I'm sure Lando Norris will be able to catch up a 7.2 second gap as well. George Russell goes purple on his lap, or 109.1 on a set of hard tyres, and Carlos Sainz is yet to do his first hot lap on his set of mediums. So let's wait and see what Carlos Sainz can do. Yeah. All right, 7.2 at the front though, and if these medium tyres work as expected, and if they are 0.4 of a second quicker than the hards, then the Lando Norris has a brilliant shot, an absolutely brilliant shot. All right. Lando Norris struggling a little bit with the traffic here. They've been coming over the radio to Max to tell him that that Lando's been struggling with a bit of traffic. So, yeah. Verstappen's got a lot of clear track ahead of him. Lando Norris has got to deal with that. He's got to get ahead of Ricciardo, ahead of Magnussen, ahead of Hülkenberg. But of course, if he does go into the pits, he can avoid all of that problems and probably get dropped into a little bit more traffic in that way. So it's a lose-lose situation for Lando Norris. He's just got to keep going until a pit window opens. Lewis Hamilton, he is right on the back of Piastri here. We'll wait and see if he can get a move done, but Piastri has done a good job. Carlos Sainz, let's look at his previous lap, a 109.555. That is 0.3 of a second slower than George Russell's previous lap, and Russell really going at it here. He's going to try and catch up to his teammate, hopefully. In fact, no, he's not even going to try and catch up to his teammate, because once Hamilton comes into the pits, George Russell will say, see you later, and take that position way off him, because Hamilton's in a net 6th position, net 7th position. He is quite a bit further behind his teammate, so Russell doing a fantastic job. Okay. Also, folks, if you are enjoying them, be sure to subscribe. Hopefully, we can hit 77,000 subscribers today. That would be brilliant. Does Leclerc have the softs available? I think Leclerc will have a fresh set of softs, or maybe a set of softs that have done 2 laps, or like a quali lap or something. But yeah. All right, yeah, Verstappen's come over the radio saying the tyres are dead. Yeah, Verstappen said my tyres are dead, so that's not good. But the lap times indicate something slightly different. Verstappen a 10.7 on his hard tyres, Lando Norris a 10.5. So there's still enough time. And let's wait and see. There's 20 laps left, so Verstappen's looking to come into the pits soon enough. Now let's wait and see if Lando Norris comes into the pits behind him. I think that will be the strategy. Max Verstappen comes into the pits, Lando Norris follows suit. And is it a quick... Oh, it's a slow stop. It's a slow stop for Max Verstappen. It's a 6.5 second pit stop for Max Verstappen. Oh my god, is it a quick pit stop for Lewis? Yes, it is. The Red Bull crew have messed this up royally. Verstappen had a 7-second lead and a 6.5 second pit stop for Max Verstappen. Here we go. Lando Norris has been given a shot. He's been blessed by the Formula One gods. A slow pit stop for Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris with the medium tyres, Max Verstappen with a used set of mediums. Can he get to the end of this race? That is the question now. Here we go. I would have expected Verstappen to come out on a set of hards. He has one fresh set of hards, but Red Bull have decided clearly that he can do it on a used set of medium tyres. Admittedly, they've only done 3 laps, but a very slow pit stop, and Verstappen locks up. Verstappen locks up trying to get past traffic, and Perez with an 8.5 second pit stop as well. This is Perez is in it with an 8.5 second pit stop because he sped in the pit lane, so that was a 5 second penalty. And that's why Perez has got a slow pit stop. But the gap is 2 seconds now. Here we go. We have got finally some great racing on our hands. Let's wait and see what happens then. They've got to make their way through a lot of traffic. Apologies, folks, for the screen lagging around a little bit. Hopefully that will fix itself shortly. But yeah, maybe I don't know who hired the Red Bull pit crew, and maybe it was someone by Zach Brown. Someone gave Zach Brown a bit of a bribe, but the rear left tire was slow to go on. And look at that, Lando Norris, purple's first sector, purple second sector, purple third sector, gap down to 1.2 seconds. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have 19 laps of racing. The gap between first and second position is 1.1 seconds. 1 more tenth, 2 more tenths, and Lando Norris will have some DRS. Let's wait and see what we've got in store for us today. All right, I mean, I'm sure Zach Brown up ahead of Verstappen and Tsunoda. I'm sure Zach Brown is up ahead of Verstappen and Norris is Yuki Tsunoda, and I'm sure Zach Brown will be heading to the Racing Bull garage to be like, tell Tsunoda to block Verstappen, please. That would be great. Don't think they'll do that because Racing Bull is, of course, part of Red Bull, but let's wait and see. Yuki Tsunoda does the right thing, gets out of the way for both Verstappen and Norris, and fastest lap of the race there for for Lando Norris. And Lando Norris, he's got DRS as well. He got DRS off Yuki Tsunoda, and as they go towards turn number 2, he's got the DRS, and the gap is down to 0.8 of a second. Let's go. All right, 18 laps of racing we have got, and let's wait and see what we can do then. Okay. All right. Here we go then. A massive blunder by the Red Bull pit crew. A 6.5 second pit stop. And it wasn't even that bad. It's only 3 seconds longer than anything else that's happened. But Lando Norris has been pushing so hard and try and keep that gap below 7 seconds. And it has all paid off. And as they come through out of turn number 9 now, let's wait and see what Lando Norris can do. All right, I think I'm just going to try and prevent all of this lagging that's been going on the screen. I'm just going to change up a couple of the settings. Let me... Ooh. Here we go then. Lando Norris, he's trying to overtake Max Verstappen here as they go into turn number 3. Lando Norris a little bit too far back, but let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen as they now make their way to turn number 4. The gap is 1.1 seconds, and ooh, Lando Norris saying he reacted to my move and he's trying to get a penalty. Well, he's trying to get Max Verstappen to give him a penalty, to get Max Verstappen a penalty. Now let's wait and see. We are on lap number 56 of 71. 16 laps remain. The gap is 0.9 of a second. Here they are coming through turn number 10 they go. What's going to happen? Yeah, Norris coming over the radio saying he's clearly moved. He clearly moved when I made a move, and that's not fair according to the rules. So let's see. Let's wait and see. All right. Here they are then, going towards turn number 3, and the gap is 0.7 of a second. Once again, a little bit too far back to get the move, and all of the traffic is moving out of the way so nicely. I'm sure they're being told over the radio that the first and second drivers are battling for the lead of this race. You've got to get out of the way. Get out of the way for both of them at the same time. Do not in any way block either of them, otherwise there'll be a lot of angry fans sending messages your way. Here we go then. Yeah, we've got a bit of a replay here, and essentially Verstappen doing a bit of a late-braking maneuver. Norris dived to the inside, and Verstappen was like, oh, I see you coming. I'm going to now go to the inside and try and block you a little bit. So maybe that's a penalty. It's a black and white flag for Lando Norris for exceeding track limits. He's done that a couple of times now. Exceeded track limits at turn number 1, exceeded track limits at turn number 3. So he might have a 5-second time penalty coming his way. But, yeah, we'll wait and see if the stewards decide to investigate anything between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. 0.3 is the gap as they head towards turn number 3. Lando Norris is the closest he has ever been. And here they are coming out of turn number 4, coming out of turn number 3 towards turn number 4. 0.5 is the gap. Norris got a great exit, and he looks to the inside a little bit too far back on this occasion. All right. Here we go there, but this is, this is music to Max Verstappen's ears. Finally, some sort of a good challenge, and Lando Norris is all for it. He's got the DRS and he's gaining on every single lap. This is what we saw in the sprint race. It took Lando Norris 5 or 6 laps to finally catch up and make a solid move. So let's wait and see. What can he do? What can Lando Norris do? Can he get a move done? What will happen? He's not going to try a move into turn number 1. That would be a little bit too risky. But here he is now heading towards turn number 3. What can he do? Yeah, Norris a little bit too far. Oh, never mind. Norris has sent one down the inside. What a move by Lando Norris. And now Does he have the DRS going into turn number 4? Yes, he does. Logan Sargent gets out of the way. They're side by side going into turn number 4. Verstappen on the inside, Norris on the outside. Who's going to get it done? Max Verstappen regains first position, and Lando Norris has to settle for second place for now. We've still got 13 laps of racing, folks. 13 laps of racing for the lead of this race. This is what Formula One is all about. Here we go. As they now head towards turn number 9, Lando Norris has got to be careful, can't exceed track limits there at turn number 9. He's going to go up onto the gravel and get a 5-second time penalty, as he's already been given a black and white flag. All right, coming down the start finish straight once again, looking to the inside. What can he do? And he's 0.5 of a second back. That is closer than he was on the previous attempt, but here we go. Here we go then, now into turn number 2. 0.5 is the gap. Is he going to be super late on the brakes? Yes, he is, but he is not close enough to get an overtake done. And here we go. What can he do? 0.6 of a second for Lando Norris. Oh, and the Dutch fans are going absolutely crazy with Max Verstappen in the lead of this race. You can hear the cheers through them. You can hear the cheers through the mics. And this is absolutely incredible. The Dutch fans going absolutely wild. And if he wins this one, you will know for a fact there is going to be absolute clouds of orange smoke. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Here we go then, 0.6 of a second as they come out of the final corner. Lando Norris activates the DRS, and here he goes. All right. Air temperature is 29 degrees, track temperature 45 degrees. Those tyres are going to be wearing out, but Lando Norris has got a 3-lap tyre advantage. And going into turn number 2, he does it again. He gets so close, and this is the closest it's been. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream. Now going into turn number 4, what can he do? And it is side by side through turn number 4. Can he get the move done? No, he really cannot get this move done. Lando Norris over the radio complaining, saying that Max Verstappen is playing dirty here. He's making moves a little bit too late. He's pushing me off the circuit, and Lando Norris is not pleased with this whatsoever. Maybe the stewards are going to hear, and here it is. Lando Norris is under investigation for track limits. He was pushed off the circuit by Max Verstappen, so I don't know if that warrants a track limit warning, because if that is, that would be our 5-second penalty, and that would be stealing the race from us. The FIA would be genuinely stealing the race, and I would be so furious at the FIA if they give Lando Norris a 5-second penalty now after Verstappen pushes him off the circuit. There should be no way that he gets a penalty. Folks, I'm just going to give the data a quick refresh to stop all of the sliding around and the random stuff, and my mic as well is not having a great day. Let me just give a quick refresh to the data. It's going to go black for 5 seconds and it'll be back, so just hang in there till the data comes back, and there we go. Hopefully that prevents the majority of it jumping around. All right, it is under investigation. We'll see what the FIA does, but I am not too hopeful. The FIA not been... We've got 10 laps left to go, though, folks. 10 laps left to go, and still some brilliant racing on hand here. Some fantastic racing that we do have coming for us. Okay, here we go then. Lando Norris, 0.6 of a second, and he comes towards turn number 3. What can he do? It is he goes towards, and he goes for it once again. He's closer than he has been. This is the second time he's been this close. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream. They're going downhill towards turn number 4. Very easy to lock the brakes. Norris to the inside, Verstappen to the outside. Can he get the move done? And it looks like he's a little bit too far back on this occasion, but Lando Norris is getting closer and closer, inching lap by lap all the way to the tail of Max Verstappen's car. He's waiting and he's just pouncing on the correct moment. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Gasly, Ricciardo, Magnussen. That's going to give Max Verstappen a bit of a breather when the traffic approaches, but still a lap or two before they hit that. What a spectacular Grand Prix we have got on our hands today. Absolutely simply lovely, and I really do appreciate you folks. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys, and if you are enjoying the coverage, then I will be doing the exact same for the British Grand Prix and the qualifying as well, so be sure to subscribe. But I'm going to stop plugging my channel. We're going to go right back to the race. 8 laps remain. Lando Norris is trying once again, 2 tenths, and he looks to the inside. Can he get the move done? He's kept the DRS. He is playing cat and mouse with Max Verstappen for the DRS, but they exit turn number 2, and we've got a yellow flag. The yellow flag has been put out and it's been cleared up, and side by side once again, and Lando Norris, can he get the move done into turn number 4? No, he cannot, and Esteban Ocon is given blue flags and he's holding up Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Verstappen concedes the position and Verstappen's going slowly. What has gone wrong with Max Verstappen's car? And oh my god, Verstappen, it looks like he's got a puncture. He's going so slowly. He is crawling back to the pits now, and Lando Norris is... what's he doing? The gap is now reducing down, and Norris has let Verstappen by. This is absolutely crazy. Oh, it's contact, and Verstappen's got a puncture. Verstappen's got an enormous puncture, and Norris has got a puncture as well. Both drivers in first and second position have lost out. Oh my god, what has happened here? Both of them have got contact. Both of them drove into each other, and both of them have... oh my god. And in the lead of this race, we have George Russell, the man who last weekend said, I can smell a victory in this car, and I can feel it coming, and I'm going to be pushing 110% to try and win this race. George Russell is in the lead. We've got Carlos Sainz in second place. This is absolutely ridiculous. Both drivers contact. They have been fighting like crazy for the previous 10 laps. They drive into each other. It's a rear left puncture for Max Verstappen, a rear right puncture for Lando Norris. They both come into the pits. They both are coming out of the pits now, but that is their race ruined. With 7 laps left to go, George Russell has got a 2.8 second lead over Oscar Piastri, and Carlos Sainz has got half a second back from Piastri. Piastri is going to be pushing like no tomorrow to try and catch up to George Russell. 7 laps left though. This is going to be close. Russell is on hard tyres. Piastri is on mediums. Those mediums are going to be so much quicker than the hard tyres that George Russell has got. 6 laps remaining and a 2.8 second gap. Piastri has got DRS of Alex Albon. Alex Albon's going to have to get out of the way. Virtual safety car has been deployed. Virtual safety car. There is too much debris on the circuit, and the debris from Lando Norris's rear right tyre and Max Verstappen's rear left tyre is all over the circuit. So a virtual safety car has been deployed, and it looks like Lando Norris has retired from this race. A VSC is out. That is going to play into George Russell's favour. The longer the VSC goes, the more likely it is for George Russell to win this race. We've got 19,000 tuned into this live stream. If you are enjoying, be sure to subscribe. Hopefully we can hit 77,000. But what a Grand Prix. This has been so crazy. And they're trying to replace Lando Norris's car and try and get him back out on the circuit, but he's just crawling out. He is going to be so disappointed with that. He could have won this race. He could have beaten Max Verstappen on pure pace, but damage has caused both of the drivers to end up out. So yeah, maybe they were racing too hard, maybe they weren't. Oscar Piastri is right on it though. Virtual safety car has ended. He's gained a 1/10 of a second already on George Russell. Both drivers sticking to the delta to the absolute T. They don't want losing a single 10th as they do as the virtual safety car ends. And here they are then. We've got George Russell. He's got slipstream off Lance Stroll, Oscar Piastri, 2.8 seconds, 5 laps remain. George Russell could make a mistake here. We don't know what will happen, but there is some serious potential for some issues. Yeah, Verstappen's on softs, but he is 30 seconds behind George Russell, so there's no chance that he's going to win. But Carlos Sainz, he's going for this second place. He's going absolute full send to try and get this second position off Oscar Piastri. He's got 8 tenths behind him, and the only traffic there is ahead of him is Lance Stroll. Once Lance Stroll is cleared, they won't have any traffic till the end of the race. Yeah, Verstappen and Norris making massive amounts of contact. The McLaren engineers and mechanics are not pleased whatsoever. And Lando Norris's right rear tyre totally ripped to shreds. But let's focus on the last 4 laps of this race. There's a 10-second time penalty for Max Verstappen for causing a collision. The FIA have ruled that it was Max Verstappen's fault, and they have given him a 10-second time penalty. George Russell, though, in the lead of this race, he's 3 seconds ahead of Piastri, and he is managing it. It looks like he is pushing to the absolute limit, going all over the curbs to try and bring out the most pace he can in this car. And here comes Piastri. He's gaining, and Sainz, unfortunately, he's dropped off the back there. Sainz, of course, his tyres are 4 laps older than Piastri's, and he might not be able to hold on for much longer. 1.8 seconds is the gap. It was previously 0.8 seconds, so he's lost 1 second in the previous lap, and he's still got to overtake Stroll in terms of traffic. Oh my god, this has been a fantastic Austrian Grand Prix, and we have a winner that is different from Max Verstappen. Oh my god. Wow, what a race, and we still haven't finished. We've still got 3 laps left to go, so let's keep on watching. We've got Sergio Perez potentially trying to overtake Nico Hülkenberg here as he goes up into 6th position. The Haas is doing extremely well. Verstappen purple in the middle sector. I don't think it's going to be enough. He's got 11 seconds to catch up to Lewis Hamilton, and that's highly unlikely that he's going to close that sort of gap. But this is simply spectacular, and let's not hold our breaths here. We've still got George Russell. He's got to close out the race. He's got to not make a mistake. We've seen this with George Russell. He's ended up bottling quite a few wins, quite a few potential podiums as well. So let's wait and see. If you haven't hit the like button already, folks, be sure to do so. Hopefully we can hit 3,000 likes, and we are getting awfully close to 73,000 subscribers. Max Verstappen with a fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 7.7. It is not going to be enough, though. We have 3 laps remaining of this race. George Russell comes out of turn number 9, gets ahead of Logan Sargent. Oscar Piastri, he's closed the gap, actually. Oscar Piastri's closed the gap. It's down to 2 seconds. It was previously 3. It's down to 2. We have 2 laps left on this race. We have a potential and a very small chance, but a chance nonetheless for a final lap overtake. Let's see. Oscar Piastri gets DRS off Logan Sargent as he comes down the straight in Austria for the penultimate time. Here comes George Russell out of turn number 2. He does not make a lockup. He seems to be driving with utmost confidence like he does on Saturdays. Mr. Saturday himself doing a brilliant performance today. 2.5 seconds is the gap, and George Russell through turn number 4, braking very nicely downhill. It's very easy to lock up, but on those old hard tyres, George Russell driving that Mercedes very, very well. This is fantastic, absolutely spectacular, and the current podium is George Russell, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, and we've got 2 laps left to go, nearly 1 lap left to go. Max Verstappen, once again, I would like to let you know Max Verstappen has got a 10-second time penalty, so once that is added in, that will still keep him in 5th position. Nico Hülkenberg is way too far behind. But yeah, that is not great there for Max Verstappen. And of course, Lando Norris having to retire from this race. Piastri has got a lap time deleted for track limits. He is really pushing extremely hard to try and catch up to George Russell. But alas, we are on the final lap, and George Russell makes his way through turn number 3 for the final time. and we'll see what he can do. Charles Leclerc, who got damage on the opening lap of this race in 20th position and ended up in 20th position, has made his way up to 11th on the final lap of this race. A massive recovery drive for Charles Leclerc, and I must say he's done a fantastic job. But I don't know who driver of the day would be. Would it be Lando Norris? Would it be George Russell? Would it be Oscar Piastri? He's gained 5 positions after all. Would it be one of the Haas drivers? It is tough to say, but George Russell has been given the chance to win this Grand Prix after Lando Norris and Max Verstappen have been battling away so hard that they drove into each other and ruined each other's race. But George Russell has not ruined anyone's race. He's in fact made the team and made the day for Mercedes, and he comes across the line to win the Austrian Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri comes home in 2nd place, and Carlos Sainz comes home in 3rd. What a race. What a drive by George Russell. Simply lovely. And we've got Max Verstappen comes across the line in 5th position. Hamilton is in 4th, of course. And Nico Hülkenberg versus Sergio Perez. This battle is still ongoing, potentially for 6th position. Nico Hülkenberg is going to do his absolute best to hold on. There's not really an overtaking opportunity left. Turn number 9, turn number 10, it's basically impossible to overtake. So let's wait and see. Nico Hülkenberg, as they make their way towards turn number 9, what is going to happen? And he dabs onto the brakes, flicks the car in, and the car seems to stick. And through turn number 10, the exact same thing happens. Perez has the DRS, both of them smashing the overtake button, but unfortunately, Perez cannot get the overtake done. And it is 6th place there for Nico Hülkenberg, 7th place for Sergio Perez, 8th for Kevin Magnussen, and unless he loses the position to Daniel Ricciardo. But what a race! What a amazing drive by Oscar Piastri. And I've got to say, Oscar Piastri is my personal driver of the day. Let me know who yours is, but this has been the Austrian Grand Prix, and a simply spectacular race. And Fernando Alonso with the fastest lap of the race on a set of medium tyres. Max Verstappen did it on a set of softs. Fernando Alonso, fastest lap of the race on a set of mediums. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But of course he's down in 18th position, which doesn't really help out. Yeah. This battle that is raging between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, this really throws a spanner into the works, and Mercedes will be outscoring any of the teams this weekend in terms of constructors' points. And wow. Yeah. Okay. So that has been the Austrian Grand Prix. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It has been a pleasure commentating to you folks, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening or night, depending on where you are in the world. I will be commentating for the British Grand Prix. I will have fixed the data that has been jumping around all stream. I will have also fixed my mic by that point, which hopefully it doesn't crackle around a little bit and start lagging once the screens start lagging. But apart from that, it has been absolutely fantastic commentating to you guys. This Grand Prix has been brilliant, and I cannot say, I think that this British Grand Prix will just be as good as this as well. Yeah, because another high-speed circuit just like this, loads of high-speed corners, a couple of slow-speed corners, probably a 2-stop race, and well, it'll be the British drivers' home race as well. Extra pressure for George Russell, extra pressure for Lewis Hamilton, extra pressure for Lando Norris. It's all going to make things a whole lot more spicy. And let's wait and see what happens. Okay, I think I'm going to end today's stream. It will take you over to the live stream for the British Grand Prix race. So go ahead and press the reminder button so you don't miss the start of the British Grand Prix, because the start of this race was mind-bogglingly crazy and there was so much going on, and of course the end of this race was exactly the same as well. So I'm going to end today's stream. It'll take you over to the stream for the British Grand Prix. Go ahead and hit the like button for that, subscribe, and press the reminder as well. It's been a pleasure commentating to you folks, and yeah, I hope to keep doing it, and have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening or night, depending on where you are in the world. I think I've already said that, but once again, I really do mean it. And I will see you in 1 week's time for hopefully just as much as a spectacular race as we've had today. Thank you very, very much. And cheers, fellas.